So our journey started well before the pandemic. I know that many organizations scrambled to try to figure out what it meant to be remote and what the impacts would be for legislation and just in general, how the dynamics of remote working would be for both MPs and for the administration and support staff. Our journey started about 2-3 years before that. In 2018, we had started with a vision of a digital office. And the goal of this digital office was really to start getting ready for more of a mobile first strategy, more of a cloud-based strategy. What we wanted to introduce is more of a question of when we are releasing a service or product, we were wanting to ask ourselves, why can it not be in the cloud? And is it going to be mobile friendly? So those were some of the questions we were starting to ask at the end of 2018. We were quite fortunate actually in that in 2019, we had a federal election that allowed us to position our strategy and our vision into deploying to the newly elected MPs. So we started off with an outlook that said, where do the MPs and their staff do their work? So the parliamentary precinct, which would be kind of an on-prem in Ottawa, located in our governmental buildings, in their riding offices, so in the constituency areas. And then we clumped together remote working as in any other place that they could do their work. Our vision was really to align ourselves to the Office 365 ecosystem. So we said all of the services that they would need from a collaboration, communication perspective would be based on a Teams digital office hub. We wanted to make it available to all of the devices that we offer. So whether it's a PC, so portable PCs, desktop PCs, or our mobile lineup, which included Android or iPhone, we wanted to offer a managed solution. So we used Intune management to manage those devices so that we could control access back into internal systems and to give seamless access into their collaboration or their digital office suite. In addition, we wanted to give flexibility for non-managed PCs, so personal PCs that they may have either outside of the office or in areas where they don't have access to their managed devices. And that was done through the Office 365 web portal. And then our vision was really to extend that into all other places that they do business. So in meeting rooms and all of the devices that accompany it. So this was the overall vision. And of course, this could not be done in one step. This was a multi-year approach. Like I mentioned in 2019, the goal was to offer this digital hub to the newly elected MPs, and approximately 1/3 of the MPs switched seats in 2019. We had just under 100 out of the 338. So those were introduced to the new way of working. Then the strategy was to go back and move the old offices one by one, because it was a lot more difficult to move the data on existing MPs in their offices to the new way of working. Of course, that was in early 2020, and we all know that the pandemic hit, so there was a rush to get this done. We really worked diligently to work with the offices and try to get them ready to make the move. There was a lot of resistance simply from an impact perspective. There were many unknowns at the beginning of the pandemic. And what we wanted to do was respect their business, respect their time, and also respect the fact that change management was a big deal with regards to moving a way of working. For the new MPs, it was less impact because we were introducing a brand new way of working. To the returning MPs and their staff, we were changing things, and it was during a pandemic, so it was a little bit more impactful. We were fortunate that we already had a cloud-ready strategy. We had already started before the pandemic. We had already also prepared a lot of the resources required to move offices one by one. So we were very fortunate from that perspective. Like I mentioned, our goal was really to offer flexibility, a mobile first methodology, and really to be cloud ready. That was the vision right before the pandemic. We really wanted to center around all the applications and collaborations that they would need, the collaboration functionalities and products that they would need, whether it be from an Office 365 collaboration and productivity, virtual conferencing, e-voting, which was a large undertaking on our part, which was really to extend the way that MPs would be voting outside of the chamber. And then from a file storage and collaboration within the offices, we also centralized on OneDrive for Business and Office 365 groups and SharePoint. So this was really done to complement all of the different aspects that they would need to be able to work remotely when they're not next to each other, and also to be able to centralize their data in a place that all of their staff could get access regardless of their location. Trust was a big aspect of this, and that's really around how do they authenticate? How could we as an organization ensure that the data is secure? How do we make it so that it's not too intrusive? And how do we make it so that there's the trust that's built in? So we worked very diligently on this as well. We implemented multi-factor authentication. We were using the MS Authenticator. We also implemented facial recognition built into the e-voting applications that we offered the MPs. So it was really around showing that we wanted security, authentication, and the trust to be built in right from the beginning. Devices and accessories was a really big, important piece. When the MPs and their staff went home, the predictability of the environment, whether it be networking or sound resonance within a room, something as simple as headsets. Not everyone had a headset at the beginning. So we really wanted to standardize, and we created these packages for the MPs so that when they were in their meetings or when they were joining any sort of official video conferencing sessions, that at least we could be confident that the equipment would work, first of all, and also that the quality was at the level that we would need for them. So we created these packages of cameras, headsets, microphones, ring lights, and also a variety of other packages that the MPs could actually choose, that they know that was compatible, would work, and that the quality level was acceptable. The PCs and the mobile devices, before the pandemic started, we had started to build up a supply of PCs and mobile, because we knew we were going to be retrofitting the old PCs that were in the returning offices. So that helped us with the PC shortage. However, going forward, we're really looking at building up some PC and mobile stock. So just in case any sort of interruption in supply chain, we could be covered on that side as well. So that was a big lesson learned with regards to hardware during the pandemic. Connectivity, this was another very important piece. This was much more unpredictable because Canada is a very large country and there's various service levels depending on the constituency areas, or sometimes where people were working. It could be in a very rural area where internet connectivity is not so strong, or cellular service is substandard. So being able to help them and support them with regards to signal strengthening, whether it be through access point upgrades or cellular reinforcement antennas, or just as simple as network guidance, where we would step somebody through how to set up their Wi-Fi or even the position of their Wi-Fi access points. proved to be a very valuable piece. We created some guides for them to use, and we were also there for them, which brings me to kind of the final and yet most important piece, which is really around being there for them. So as I alluded to, we created some guides, some packages, but throughout the entire process, setting them up was of utmost importance, and supporting them through this journey was very important. So that was anything from proactive training and resources. So trying to predict what the MPs would need. If we saw that there was kind of repeated calls on the same sort of topic, we would take it off. We had a morning scrum every morning to look at what are MPs asking for, what are staff asking for, and what is the administration and support staff asking for? What are the challenges that people are having? And try to get some information out to the support staff with support for them to be able to support the MPs. Also, with regards to remote control, we had many different ways that we could remotely control the PCs and mobile devices, and we bolstered that to be able to provide the support immediately once somebody needed it. We had a dedicated support staff, which provided very much a VIP service to the MPs when they needed it, whether it be on the premise in person or remotely. And the final piece, which was around change management. And I mentioned it before, but it truly, change management is the biggest lesson learned out of all of this journey, which is change management has to be built into every migration, every deployment, and every change. We could have a phenomenal vision, we can have a great strategy, but if we don't manage the people change of it, MPs are just people. They have varied experiences, they have varied perceptions, they have varied kind of technical prowess. It really is important to look at it and say, how can we properly manage the change, take everything into account, and truly look at it from a human perspective. So throughout this journey, what we encountered was that remote working was a relative success. We really enjoyed actually getting them there and watching the productivity happen. The next big step going forward is really, how do we move into the next phase of this? And, you know, we keep saying, what's the return back to work? What's return back to work? And truly, it's not about returning back to work. It's about how do we look at the future and keep adapting and evolving. So we set up the remote capabilities for the MPs, for the administration and their staff. But we need to be prepared for the next thing that happens. Whatever it is, it could be something good, a technological change, or an evolution of something that we have today.